Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Today I'm excited about this lesson. It's part 2 of music theory lesson number 4. And we're really starting to get down to some interesting stuff here. And you know, my general rule of thumb when teaching music theory is always apply it to the guitar as soon as possible. So part 1 kind of had to set the stage. And now part 2, this video, we're really going to dive into how to apply the circle of fifths on the guitar. What is it? And secondly, should we be thinking about how many sharps and flats are in every key on the guitar primarily? Or should we be thinking about just knowing where they are and then kind of going from there? And I think a little bit of both is probably the best. But I wanted to show you on the guitar how the circle of fifths and the circle of fourths work in all 12 keys. And then I'll put part 1 in the description below. And then I'm going to make an exercise video that kind of goes through a few variations on different ways to play. But this is not meant to be advanced, so I'll teach you the simplest way to go through the 12 keys. And even if you just want to watch and enjoy the show and see how the circle of fifths plays out on the guitar in a way that's not too technically challenging, that's kind of the goal of this video. And really sort of break into the secrets of the circle of fifths and demystify it a little bit on the guitar. So it's I'm pretty excited about it and hope you are too. With that, let's get to work. All right, so in this music theory lesson, let's find out the quickest way to play the circle of fifths or the circle of fourths on guitar. The circle of fourths is the circle of fifths backwards. And ask any jazz musician and they'll tell you that the circle of fourths is actually more commonly used, not only in jazz music but in pop music and in rock music. The circle of fifths is just the tradition of classical music explained very clearly by adding a sharp each time. But the circle of fourths, which is the circle of fifths backwards, is adding a flat each time. So they're both very valuable to know. And the quickest way to wrap our heads around it is to first understand what is a fifth, what is a fourth. And in part 1, I talked about the difference between thinking about letters or thinking about numbers. So we're going to start to think about numbers here if we're in the key of C, which has no sharps or flats. And in different lessons, I'll go over major scales and all the frets and all that, but this is more about music theory. So I'm assuming that you know, you'll take the time to learn your scales later, but let's say I'm in the key of C and I want to go in the circle of fourths. Okay, like I said, it's more common in rock and pop. What I would need to do is count up to number 4 of the scale or to the 4th letter. So let's say I do the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's an F. Let's count the letters C, D, E, F. So that's the 4th letter. So either way works. I'm going to recommend doing numbers because the letters can kind of get a little distracting. So if you know that that's 4 right there, you would do the same thing. Spoiler alert, this pattern of it being the same fret will work again. So 1 on the F here, 2, 3, 4. Now, that might be surprisingly simple, but the guitar is actually tuned in fourths. Besides the 3rd and 2nd string, G and B are not. The 2nd and 3rd string is tuned in a major 3rd, but every other string pairing is tuned in a 4th. So that's sort of one thing you need to understand about the circle of fourths is that a lot of times you can go to the next string. Now, if I were going to the 2nd string, I couldn't do the 3rd fret anymore because of the tuning, so I'd have to go to 4th fret. But let's say I don't want to keep going because I'm running out of space. So I go from C to the 4th of that, which is F, to the 4th of that, which is B flat. And then I want to go to the 4th of that, but I don't want to keep going down and lose space. Keep going up, really, up the notes. So I want to go down, back to the lower. Even though I'm going up the strings, I'm going down in pitch. So that would be all the way down to here. Okay, and you can find that out by going octave, 2, 3, 4. And there's my E flat. And then up a fourth, A flat. And then up a fourth, D flat. And now if I'm here and I want to go down in pitch, instead of going up to there, I can go down an octave and then 2, 3, 4. So that would be down a string 2 frets down. And then same fret, the next string, that'd be a B. So we went from D flat to G flat to B. Now let's go down to E, A, and then D, and then G, and then C. That's all 12 keys in the circle of fourths. Ready? Let's do them all together slowly. So we can play now chords in those keys. And, you know, this is important for many reasons. One is you always want to know where the fourth is in relation to where you're at, because the 4 is very important. It's a lot of times where the next chord is going. Chords often resolve in fourths, and you can ask any jazz musician as well as just look at chord progressions. It oftentimes goes to the 4, and then when it's at the 5 chord, it'll resolve back to the 1, which is a circle of fourth. Now, going in the circle of fifths is a little more tricky because it's not as common, but you just basically count up to 5. So if I'm in C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a G. And I just look at a circle of fifths. I see that the next chord is G. And I can just follow that along. D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, E flat, B flat, F, and then back to C. And in the introduction, I played back to G to C, just to resolve the C, because like I said, chords move in the circle of fourths. So G, fourth of G is C, and that feels like home. I'm not going to go over the arpeggios that I did, but that'll be in the exercise videos I do. But that's another way to think about music theory in terms of numerical systems. When I'm doing arpeggios, I'm counting, well, I'm not counting, but I'm playing the 1, 3, and 5 of each chord. 1, 3, 5. And then I'm going to the 4 chord. 1, 3, 5. So the 4 of C is F. So after I play 1, 3, 5, then I go to the 4 of C. Now that's my new 1. 1, 3, 5. So maybe this is all a little bit over your head if this is all new to you. But what I want you to do is to look at a circle of fifths, and instead of just saying, that's nice that, you know, music moves in a circle of fifths, and then just be done, instead of just being done with it at that point, say, I'm going to play the chords, even if it's a little confusing, and I'm just going to get that under my fingers, because playing circle of fifths, playing circle of fourths, and major chords, whether they're open or bar chords, will start to eventually translate into your fingers, into your ears. And when you're, you know, starting to understand this more, you know, it'll be partially because you've already been playing these chords. So yes, it's a little confusing at first. Music theory, ask any music major in college. They will tell you that, yes, it's confusing, but I'm a big believer in starting on an instrument and not just viewing it from a distance. So go through this slowly. Watch part 1 if you would like in the comment section. And then also look for the exercise I'll be posting specifically regarding circle of fifths. Okay, enjoy. All right, well done. So you've got plenty to work on here, and I recommend using it as a warm-up if you want as well. Go ahead and subscribe to MT Guitar if you haven't, and hit the notification bell. And other than that, have a great day, and we'll see you next video. Bye.